it with you. We appreciate that. So from every single celebration, from every single activity,
Yeah.
we appreciate that.
Yes, we appreciate it, Nigel. Wow, I tell you, so many Dominic, and you see that just shows in unity there's strength. When we come together, when we combine our efforts, we can make a lot of things happen. I mean, obviously, not everybody will join in, but if you have a large, group of people, a large community joining in, it speaks wonders for the results of an
It does, it
activity.
does, it does, it
And
does, it does. And I'm sure that, I'm sure the many who came through and they were able to connect with those who were there at home, I'm sure that they had a pretty good time and they recognize, how impactful it can be when we do it together.
right, that's it. Nigel, you seen me now? I think we should be on.
Let me see if I let
Yeah,
me go back
man.
and see
Yeah,
if
we
I'm
on.
seeing
We
you
on.
now. Let's see if we are on. Okay, so I see we on the YouTube. All right, you have no volume there. Let me see. Got it. All right, so we're on the YouTube. Let's see if we're on the Facebook.
From what
now.
I'm seeing, we on the we on the book.
We're on the book as well.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. If you say that.
Yes. Check it out.
All right. So check it out.
Yeah, we're on the book. So Nigel, yes, man. By the way, Nigel,
well, my book have a problem. But
your book have a problem.
I'll fix it up,
What you have the can pad, man?
I just.
Ooh. Nigel Canpad exercise book has a problem.
I not seeing you though, but it's all good.
But
Let me see if I can fix my book.
Yes. What was the other one again? We had other books.
Yeah, the other one, What was it?
Canpad. Somebody tell us on the live.
Canpad. What was the other one? What was the other one?
There was this one with the Dominica map on it and very thin. Not many pages in this with the times table at the back, the mathematical tables and anyway. So, but I remember the book quite well. Yes, Nigel. By the way, Nigel.
You remember that?
Nigel, I hope you tell ladies I say thanks, because that package was packaging. Nigel, you see me?
Yes, I
look at my outfit. You see me now, right?
Okay, I can see you now. Yeah.
Yes,
beautiful. Well packaged.
You see the top, but it's the bottom not really pretty. And so, Elise, yes, man.
Pretty. Yes, okay.
Because what Nigel was telling me there, for his, what? Nah, it wasn't.
It was.
Elise, you good with? Yeah, you good. Thank you so much.
All right.
So I have enough outfits for all connecting the dots for the rest of the year.
Yeah. So, but why are you not seeing it on the book now?
What? Something on the book.
You know what? Let me put off my phone and put it back on.
Yeah, we are on.
According to them people, I can put off the phone and put it back on.
I was just about to ask you who's on the book.
Yeah, I not seeing anything on the book. What I'm seeing then.
Where Nigel we on?
Okay. Well, for some reason my book not working this morning, but the YouTube working though, so it's all good.
Edwin London is on saying good morning, Mr. Nigel and Mrs. Ivona.
Well, good morning to you, Edwin. Appreciate it.
And Mr. Nigel. Morning to you both. Thanks for everything. Love you all, Brenda Webster, Ebe Nigel. And I even tell you about Brenda Webster now because I had lunch for the Independence.
Oh, you mean after I left?
Yes, after you left.
Yes, that's normal. Yes. That's normal.
In fact, you were there on Saturday last week, but Saturday I got lunch. But I didn't call you, man. But
of course, I was there Saturday last week.
No, it wasn't on Saturday. I got lunch on Saturday.
I was going to tell Brenda what's going on, but
on Tuesday, Community Day of Service, I got lunch again, so he wasn't there. So anyway,
I think I met. Where did I meet her? I think I met her in Cultural Gala.
Okay.
And she said she was going to bring breakfast and so on, but of course, I left, soon after that, so I didn't get a chance to connect with her for that particular reason.
Right. Okay.
Facebook blocked me, man.
You serious? What?
The book blocked me.
What? What is happening to my phone then as well?
I think the book blocked me, man.
Yes. Mine as well.
I don't know what I said, why they blocked me. I haven't said anything bad, anything negative, Mr. Zuckerberg. So I don't know why you don't want me to be on, but it's all good.
Anyway. So Nigel, I'm not sure. Let me see.
You're getting ready now for the next season, right? One season is over and we get ready for the next season, a double of Christmas and Carnival.
Man,
You
I
know,
tell you, Nigel, a
as
lot
far as
is
I know, the what the eliminations for the Calypso comes up sometime next month in December.
yes, 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 and it's right
Yeah,
into it
so
already,
it's
eh? Right
right
into it
around the
already.
corner, right?
Oh yes, Nigel, a lot is happening, and you tell you the Commonwealth is always hot. So, Carnival is very close, very close. It's almost there,
Very close to the
and
Christmas.
plans are in place. It's, the bands have already released their costumes. Well, it's a while back, and yeah, so the pot is on fire
It's on
in
fire. It's
Dominica
getting
for the.
ready.
Let's say as well, Nigel. Congratulations to all those who received Meritorious Service Award, the
Oh
Sister Award of
yes,
Honor, and the other awards as well, Long Service Medal of Honor. Congratulations to all of you.
most definitely to all those who were able to be recognized and rewarded and celebrated.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations to you. Continue the work. Continue doing what you've been doing, and continue to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate you guys.
Yes, we appreciate
We
you.
sure do. We sure do. We sure do.
Okay.
Yes. So I think I've been banned from the book. So
No, but Nigel, I'm looking at my other phone though. I'm not seeing it on my other phone. So I know
oh,
what's
you see, I thought
I
it
don't know
was me
what's
alone that was
happening.
banned on the book. So it's not me alone. Okay. All right. So it's a special thing you have in the
No,
studio
it's
that
there. It's
allows you
there.
to
It's
see it in
there.
the studio, but doesn't
No, it's
allow.
there.
Oh, the other phone upstairs. I was gonna look
It's
for the
there.
Dominica phone and put it on and see if I could see the same
Yes, it's
thing.
there. I don't know what
But in
is.
the meantime, like I said, it's
Yeah.
the YouTube is what I'm seeing on.
Okay. All right. So let's say hello to all of you who are on. Carl, Kofi, James, if you're on, good morning. Vado, the others, all of you. If Alicia Griffith and Alvin Thomas are not on, Nigel, detention.
But I mean, I haven't seen Alvin for a few years. I don't know what's going on with him now.
Well, I know he
You
was
know?
in St. Croix. The last time we spoke, he was in St. Croix, of course, for the funeral of Ted
Well,
Davis.
yes, he was in. That is true. That is true. That is
So
true.
he
He
had
was
to
in
leave
St. Croix for the
Dominica.
funeral.
Yes, he
That
had
is
to
true.
leave
Yes,
Dominica
yes,
to go to
yes.
Atlanta, then go from Atlanta. He had to go back to St. Croix. So I think he's back in Atlanta,
So we'll
something like
probably
that.
give him an excuse.
Okay, okay,
We'll have him excused for today.
okay. All right then.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just
we'll
for
do that.
today. Just for today.
Okay, so let's
You
just hail
know.
the people on Facebook quickly, and then Dominica Corner. Then we bring on our guest. Okay, so we said hi to Edwina London and Brenda Webster already. Glenda Shillingford Peters. It's also on. Charles Joe. Bonjour, Charles Joe. Bobby Thomas is on. Glenda Shillingford Peters. We said that. Good morning, Ivy and Nigel and the City family. Alan George. Hamilton Joseph. Good morning, City the family. Ivuna, you are beautiful if you're here still. Papa, thank you. Hamilton Joseph is on as well. So yeah, quite a few people on already. Nigel. So let's go to the Dominica
Good,
Corner
good, good, good,
quickly.
good.
2 questions on the
Let's
Dominica
go to the
Corner.
Dominican corner.
My turn, man.
Yeah, your turn. Your turn this time. Your turn.
2 questions. Dominica, Dominica observes what day tomorrow? Tomorrow, yes, tomorrow.
Tomorrow will be what we call Poppy Day, right? But there's the official thing for it, but it's Poppy. If you
Yes,
call it the official, nobody know. But it's the Poppy Day. It's where
yes,
you pin the red thing on your chest.
yes,
The red poppy.
Well, Nigel, I remember back in the days in primary school when I was at St. Martin's School. Nigel, I would tap his say poppies all over my uniform. But yeah, those days are gone. You hardly see them though. You hardly see them. We're doing.
Wait, they don't have the poppies no more. They don't have the red to pin on your no more.
Yes, but like
Very
you
few.
see them. Yeah, very few. You must see them on the day itself. So tomorrow at the cenotaph, we'll be bringing live the outside broadcast. We'll be bringing this live, so you'll see a few. But like how we used to see it before, lots of poppies all over the place. Nah. For us back then, it was more fashionable than functional, and then we learned about the importance of it. But you hardly see it. So
yes. So now we know the function, and now we know the function of it. We forget the fashion. So.
Yes.
we flip it around.
Yes, the debate is still on.
Yes, but it's a day, of course, of remembrance.
Yeah.
A day of remembrance. For those who served and gave their lives and their skills and everything. I mean, as it relates to war.
Yeah.
I
was about to say the debate is still on, the conversations as to if we should continue to observe this. All the ex-servicemen and women in Dominica have died, I think. But their family, of course, represent them. I think it's
Your
important.
families represent
I
them,
think it's
yes.
important
So I
that we
mean,
remember. We
it's
remember.
important to remember,
Yeah.
I mean, your, granddads and great granddads and great grandmoms and so on who would have sacrificed and contributed. So I'm guessing they've cleaned up
The
the cenotaph
cenotaph, yes, it is.
nicely.
It is. And I think Dominica is the only place with 2 war memorials, so on the cenotaph
Yes.
next to Domlek, next to the Peebles Park. I think we have to continue it. It's a lesson that our children should know about, should learn. And yes, so it's on tomorrow. We'll be doing the outside broadcast. I've been doing this for so many years, Nigel. Myself, I even know the ex-service men and women. A lot of them, their names by heart. Although they are not alive, but it's
and when it's being called and what's come
yes,
next on the next
Nigel,
on the
I can
next on
tell you the
the-
program. In fact, I can stay at DBS and do the outside broadcast.
You don't even need a program now. You don't even need a program.
No, I've been doing that for so many years.
Yes,
Showman
yes,
Green Brown,
yes,
I've done
yes.
it a lot as well, and Innsmouth Irish. Also, Dr. Eisenhower Douglas did it a lot with us as well. So we remember. But anyway, Nigel, it's time to bring on our guest. She's there, right?
Let's bring him on.
Yes,
Bring her on.
So we're gonna we have 2 parts, part 1, part 2. So we have Dr. Esprit, Dr. Shyla Esprit. Let's see if she's on, and she has a resume that stands out. I mean, a lot of accomplishments. She has achieved a lot, and she continues to grab education. We won't go through her life story because of the nature of the program today, but she will tell us a little about herself. Dr. Esprit, good morning. Let's see, she's on. Yes, she's
Good
there.
morning.
How are you, Dr. Esprit?
Can you hear me? I am well. I'm doing well.
You're doing well,
How
considering
are
the
you?
circumstance
Yes.
in Jamaica. We are fine, though. We are fine.
Yes.
Nigel, you
That's
seen her?
good.
Yes, I can see her now.
Yes.
Good morning to you, my
Okay.
dear. How you doing? Good morning. Good morning.
I am great. I am tired, given the circumstances. I've been working a lot the last couple of weeks, but I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
Okay.
Well, we're happy that you can be here and to share with us, what's been going on over there and what's happening, and a little first-hand account of what's happening in Jamaica now, following Melissa and everything else. So happy to have you, tired as you are. You
Yeah.
still look as beautiful, and we're happy to have you with your tired self.
Thank you. Yes, yes.
Right.
Yes.
All
Well,
right.
you chose a pretty color to dull whatever it is that you feel.
Like
So
that's
the
a
color is
rule in my
bright,
family.
but it
Just like
does-
how you want to feel, not like how you actually feel. So you
well,
have
yeah.
to make it happen
You have to
on
make
the
it up.
outside.
That's it. That's it. Last week we had Anila.
So that's good.
We had Anila Esprit. Is your niece or your cousin?
Yes.
It's your niece.
Cousin,
Okay.
the Esprits, we have a lot
Yes.
of
Oh yes.
I'm in the auntie role because I'm grown, but yeah,
Okay.
she's my cousin. Yeah.
All right. So she and Annalisa Hunter did a fine job on the program.
Yes, they were on last week.
Yeah. So we're happy to have you on. I know we're going to talk about, from your eyes, the impact of Hurricane Melissa. But just give us an idea as to who you are. I think we need to know that. We like to connect with people, especially the communities that they come from and things like that. So
Okay. Of course, I am from the most fabulous community in Dominica, Maho, where the best people come from. I am from Maho, born and raised, and I used to live and work in Dominica very recently. Like you said, I've done a lot. I used to work at Dominica State College as the Registrar and Dean of Academic Affairs. And I am the founder of Craig Caribbean Research Institute, which is a digital humanities research center that began in Little Dominica at Dominica State College. And we're now operating at the University of the West Indies, Mona, as well. So that's just a short list. I do a lot of work in literatures and literary cultures. I used to be working with the Nature Island Literary Festival and all things related to youth development as well. So that's just a short summary of the things I do. Yeah. And now I work at the University of the West Indies, Mona. I lecture in Literature and English department in writing, literature, and publishing. And I'm also the Deputy Dean in our Faculty of Humanities and Education for Research and Innovation.
You did a stint in media as well, right? With the newspaper.
I did. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I did a lot of stints in media. One particularly in Dominica as the editor for the Chronicle newspaper. and I worked with them in a consultant capacity for some while after that
Yeah.
as well.
In fact, the first time I met you
Yes.
is because of media. I think we were together in a workshop. I think it was in Barbados. UN
Yes, we did go to do a
Yes.
media workshop
Yeah.
for, I think, the Impact Justice training
Yes. Yes. That's it.
in Barbados together in the media,
Yes.
for media
Yeah.
practitioners. So that was a while ago,
Yeah. But it's a pleasure to
like
have
10
you on.
years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a pleasure to have you on. Shyla, SHUY. Spell it again. SCH or SH? Ler.
SCHUYLER.
And the proper pronunciation is
Shyler.
Shyla. Okay. Nigel, you get that right?
Tyler like shy,
But
but
she's
I
not
don't
Yes.
shy,
think
no?
that I don't think that's
No,
you.
no, she's
So
not shy.
Actually, I'm shy. That is a secret.
So,
My public persona is very learned behavior,
okay.
but I do love being left alone when I'm not on.
Okay, okay. So that's me, man. Me, Papa. I like that. I like that.
interesting, man. Is that your first time in Jamaica? Or that's where you initially did your studies.
No, it is when I moved to Jamaica in the middle of COVID, it was my first time being in Jamaica. I
Mm.
remember that when I was moving to the United States for school, when I left Dominica, you remember they used to have Air Jamaica?
Yep.
My flight connected in Montego Bay. I can never forget that. And that was the only time I had been to Jamaica before, in that flight connection in the airport. Outside of that, this was I moved in the middle of COVID, July 2020, to Jamaica from Antigua. I was in Antigua for a couple of years working in the open campus there. So um, that's how I ended up in Jamaica. It's been a little more than 5 years, and it's been a good time so far.
Nice. So, of course, just before we get through, Melissa and what's, taking place and how it has affected, the university and everything else. Just general impressions about Jamaica, man. What's it like in Jamaica for you?
Jamaica is a really interesting place. I study, of course, Caribbean studies, Caribbean literature and cultural studies. That's what I study. That's what I teach in. And it's so interesting to live in Jamaica, to read about, slavery and colonialism and how it impacted different countries and different parts of the Caribbean, and to live it. Jamaica certainly has a particular remnants because of its size and its population and the way it was one of the big settler countries for the Europeans. And so you see a lot of that in Jamaica, despite it being just like Dominica, a big maroon country. You see a lot of resistance in the people, in their attitude. This is something I affiliate with Dominicans all the time. Dominicans just like to be contrary, and I think it is our maroon hair legacies, right? But it's also like the class structure, the social structure, all of these things. So there are a lot of ways in which we are very alike, and everything feels familiar, but there are a lot of ways in which, it is different. Jamaica certainly is a cosmopolitan place. I live in Kingston area, and Kingston is a city that is thriving and bustling. It has corporate space. It has all kinds of things going on. And so in a lot of ways, I get to have the best of both worlds, because there's also the parts of Jamaica that are beautiful, that are, very lush and green and quiet and homely, like it reminds me of home. So in a lot of ways, it feels like the best of both worlds. I have to say that I am not a big outside person. I don't do the nightlife. I don't do the. I'm a day party girl, so you will not see me in Dominica for Creole Festival, but you might see me for Carnival, because I don't go outside at night. It's for sleeping. But I was born an old lady, so it's fine. But so I cannot really speak to those kinds of things, but it's very bustling. I see in a lot of ways why Jamaica is the cultural capital of the Caribbean, right? Like the culture is there, the arts, the theater, the music, the entertainment, everything about those things is thriving and bustling. And I sometimes really wish we took it as seriously in Dominica as the Jamaicans take it. And a lot of money and a lot of resources are put into that. From all ends, right? And so those are the things that for me are very much part of the fabric of what I enjoy about living here and having access to whether or not I want to use them, but I certainly, I have had a good time. You know, you hear, and this is something I wanted to say because, you know, I work in education and part of my job is recruitment. And a lot of parents, especially the parents I talk to in Dominica, when they are considering school for their students, I was not a product of UWI. I did not go to UWI for any of my degrees. I was in the United States for a very long time and after I worked in the United States. But now that I am back, and even before I joined the UWI, part of my job in working at Dominica State College and Craig Caribbean and starting that organization was about giving us opportunities in the Caribbean that I didn't feel like I had at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not necessarily that it wasn't there. The University of the West Indies has been here for 77 years now. But the reputation of the university at the time was it's difficult, makes people life hard, depending on what you do, and you buy into this idea that America is the place you want to go. I worked at Dominica State College during the time when Hurricane Maria happened. Even before that, and 88% of our transcripts were going to the United States when the cost of going to the University of the West Indies for a equal or more superior education, according to the Times Higher Ed, is a fifth, 20% of the cost, right? And so people also have, and then we have multiple campuses now, but when it comes to Jamaica and Mona, the flagship campus of the university, people tend to worry about the crime and they tend to worry about, you know, what they see on the news about the reputations of like, what are the things that are going on in Jamaica. I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you, no, there are things that are happening in Jamaica that are different, right? For example, the way I can get up out of my bed at 1 o'clock in the morning and walk down the road in Mango is not gonna happen here. As a single woman by myself, the kinds of things that I do in Dominica would be considered absolutely reckless and crazy here, right? Going on the beach in the middle of the night. Matter of fact, the beach is not open at the middle of the night because they close at 5, right? And all the beaches you have to pay, which is egregious to me, but that's for a different story. Like when I first got here, that was one of the things that was my friends and I have a Dominican friend here, and she invited me to go to this river outing with her, and we had to pay to go to the river, and I was like, oh, I'm going home, you know, like outrageous things, like things that I think should be part of the protest culture of Jamaica that is not, that people really do not have access to natural resources to enjoy it the way we do back home. And that is, for me, I always feel that loss because I can literally get up out of my bed this morning and decide I'm going to Bells and that's it. Like there's no conversation, the movement, the way I can move alone, those kinds of things. So it's a big city, right? Kingston is a big city. And so even if you were in New York, you would still have the same concerns. Even if you were in Houston, you would have the same concerns. So I feel like people kind of put this thing on Jamaica, and a lot of these, just like New York City where I have lived before, just like Washington DC where I've lived before, and other cities that I have visited, including Miami and Houston, where all of the students are going to school, you have to be aware of where the pockets of those behaviors are and understand and talk to your kids about safety and the way they move. It's not a Jamaica specific problem. Jamaica has those issues. They are very community based and they're very centered around a certain type of culture and violence that is long term and long ranging. Do things happen? Yes. But is it a situation where we are constantly in fear of our lives on campus? No, this is not the kind of situation it is. And so I wanted to kind of really clarify and demystify that, because I think a lot of the reasons why people might not be taking up opportunities in Jamaica, at Mona campus, particularly where there are some of the most excellent science researchers, computer science, even in the humanities fields, this is where people from the Caribbean want to study. We have international students coming here. I hear a lot in the conversations, people are very afraid to send their kids to Jamaica for that reason. But it's not like that everywhere. Should the crime be happening the way it is? Absolutely not. We don't want that anywhere. I don't want it in Dominica. Every time I come home and I hear there was gun violence, I'm like, oh, that's too much. Like, y'all becoming like Jamaica, cut it out, right? Like, that's my thing. It's like, there was one summer I was home and there were 4 shootings and I was like, ratio-wise, this is giving Jamaica. We need to cut it out. Like, don't do that. You know, like, we have to take it seriously because those things are affecting us all. But there is a certain kind of image that I wanted to, it's beautiful here. There's a lot to take advantage of outside of just school. And it is, the people are, you know, Jamaica has something that I wish Dominica had in its way. And I see it happening more for us now in the digital age, which is national pride. Jamaicans are obnoxiously proud of being Jamaican in every part of their lives. And so I want us to be more like that. I want us to have the sense of constant, we are the best at everything, even in the places that, you know, they could use some work, they still believe it. It's like a psychology, right? They believe it, and that is part of why the development looks the way it is, and the international reach of the island as a cultural space makes it that way.
Well, thank you for giving us clarity, especially with this confusion. I know a lot of parents are still, not too sure that they want to send their sons and their daughters to Jamaica. I did Mona in Jamaica. I've been to Jamaica 4 years already. It's really a cosmopolitan space, as you mentioned. Nice place, though. Very, very nice place. Very vibrant. There's a cultural vibrancy, that reggae vibes and everything, that Jamaica is so proud of and well known for. Nigel, too. Nigel, I think 6 years you spent in Jamaica or more?
Yes. I lived there for about 6 years. So, I mean, that is considered the second home in a sense.
Yeah.
Definitely so. But as you mentioned that, though, I'm Dr. S. Frischal, as you mentioned that, oftentimes, and I know we're going to talk a little about Melissa and the impact and everything else, but oftentimes people have the concept or the perception, rather, that, Jamaicans enough, in the sense that they think they eat, Is it for someone who does Caribbean studies and education and everything else? Do you think it's more confidence than arrogance?
It certainly is confidence, I think, but it's complicated, right? Jamaicans enough, yes, and it's also a very complicated and complex space in terms of class, and so you see the Jamaicans who rally around like Vybz Kartel as a figure and come together around like all of the people from the inner city who have made it out. Whatever that enoughness that we're thinking about constantly is about their aspiration, right? Like they're saying, being Jamaican can give them a hope to get out of that, because we do have that's one of the things I was talking about before. Where in Dominica, we have a more fluid class structure. It doesn't feel that way in Jamaica. It is much more rigid and I think multiple reasons, because of the terrain and the way slavery settlements happened after emancipation, and because of the, also because of the way the economy has worked in Jamaica, and the size of the country and the population. Jamaica has almost 3 million people. This is not, there's maybe 70,000 people living in Uptown. Right, the population of Dominica is Uptown Jamaica, so we're dealing with scale here on a different level. For those who don't know what Uptown is, I'm sure you've heard the term. It's really people living in middle to upper class part of Jamaica, or up on the hill towards Mona, north of New Kingston. People who essentially are the people who have the haves, and in the rest of the Kingston, the inner city, the have-nots, right? And so you see a lot of these inner city communities, and then outside that, the country, everything, they're not like us. Everything outside of Kingston is country, right? So Mobe is also country, which was freaking me out. I was not country, but fine. But you also have like the more rural and what they call the extra rural spaces, where people are really, really, really cut off from what's happening in this part of the country where we are. And also, so what they have to hang on to unite, not only to unite them, but make them aspirational that whatever is happening uptown can happen for them, is this brand, right? Like this idea that Jamaica people, we live above Talawa, like that idea that we can come from nothing and become something, right? Never mind that a lot of what the nothing to something thing has a lot to do with most of the people who become successful from the inner city have to migrate to do that, right? Like, so you see the patterns where migration is the way for people from the inner city to do that. They go to the UK, they go to the United States, they go to Canada, whereas, and I'm sure there's a study about it, I'll find it, but I am speaking now anecdotally to say that uptown people don't really leave. If they go away to school, they come right back and go back into their careers and into their lives. They don't stay away. They come home, right? Or they go to school at the University of the West Indies and continue their lives and continue and build their lives and their wealth and their careers like that. So there is, not to say that it doesn't happen, but it's less likely to happen because they have the certain steps of stability here, whereas people in the inner city feel like they need to leave to create that. And so you have a large diaspora network of the people who made it and made it out, that are affiliating, that are associating with that greatness with their upbringing in Jamaica. Yes, but it's also really complicated, you see, right? because their ability to make that move, I would say, and I see it in my students and the students who come from the University of the West Indies, which is really a competitive school for Jamaican students to get into. It's not like everybody comes, right? There are lots of universities in Jamaica. The University of the West Indies Mona campus is considered the top university to go to, so it is competitive. And you see that the students who make it from the inner city into here, they are the ones, like they are, and I will speak about that in the Melissa context, right? They feel this aspiration on their back, right? Like they have to make it a new way and they have to do something for themselves and so on. So it is, yes, it's not, I don't believe it's arrogant. They're annoying, but it's certainly confident. It can be annoying because, you know, one thing I argue, me and my students who are not Jamaican, from different parts of the Caribbean, always like Jamaican, love to put Jamaican in front of something we all have and call it Jamaican. It's like, we all eat that. Like, why do you call it a Jamaican apple? We all have it, right? Like, why do you call it everybody eats it. Like, why do you put Jamaican in front of it and think it belongs to you, right? They're annoying like that, but I think it's coming from a place of them wanting to kind of own this identity around it.
All right.
Interesting,
Nigel.
Yes.
We could go on and on with that discussion.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
But we want to look at I'm just thinking as well, it's a while we have made arrangements, Nigel, to have Dr. Shoila Esprit on, and we never had her on, so
yes,
we need to have her on, you know, on a separate program, another program to look at. Yeah, I think it's important that we do that. Of course, we want to look at the aftermath, you know, what really transpired, how you fared out when Melissa struck and things like that, what is happening now. We also had to have Maxine Arlene Esprit, who is in Jamaica right now with the IOM, but I think she's on duty right now as we speak, so she could not make it.
Yeah, they're probably on the road. They've been very, very busy while they've been here on the road all the time. Yeah. I've spoken to one of our colleagues, and they are very active and happy to have them here. So I'm sure she is on the road somewhere and likely having no service at all, because I went on the road myself the other day and it was very hard to get service.
Oh, okay, so take us back, Dr. Esprit, to this Hurricane Melissa, even before the hurricane Category 5 struck Jamaica. In terms of the weather reports, what you all were hearing, what was preparations like, you know, when the hurricane struck and everything. You can tell us about this deadly storm.
Okay, you know, I hope my mother will be annoyed with me for making this comparison, because she's super Catholic as I am raised. But I want to make a comparison. You remember when Pope John Paul II was ill and he was on his last days, and every day on CNN had a roster saying, is the Pope still alive? We're monitoring him and we're monitoring him. And this lasted for like weeks. We were waiting and we were just waiting and waiting at the TV to see if Pope John Paul was alive or if he had passed. This is what it felt like. It's like every day I wake up, is it here yet? Is it here yet? Has it happened yet? Are we supposed to be sad? Are we supposed to be scared yet? It was like a long wait. I remember that we saw the storm. At first, I was not even thinking about Jamaica because, you know, to be honest, in Jamaica, after Barry last year, I didn't adopt it because, you know, I'm a disaster survivor in Dominica. We all know how to prepare. I got a lot of high blood pressure last year trying to tell Jamaicans they need to prepare for burial, because they haven't had a serious hurricane since Gilbert and a couple other storms, but it's really been 37 years since we had national destruction in Jamaica. And so some people who are my age did not experience it or don't remember it. They were like 5, 6, 7 years old. And then other people just say, you know, it's not going to happen. They always miss us, right? So when Beryl hit last year, it didn't do very much damage at all in most of the country except St. Elizabeth because of its path. People still felt like, oh, we missed one again, even if the damage that I saw for myself with Beryl. So this year, when it was coming, I relaxed a little. I was like, okay, well, this thing is moving slow. It's going south. My house is always hurricane ready. Like after Maria, I'm even before, but since Maria, especially, my house is always hurricane ready. So I didn't have a lot of preparations to do on my end. I was at work where people were trying to determine when we would go online. So it started like the Wednesday before. We had a directive to move classes online so that people could actually prepare for the storm, because at work you have to prepare the buildings and the computers, all of your things for the storm, and then go home and do the same preparation. So we kind of wound down from the Wednesday before. So we almost a whole week. We had moved classes online. The university had decided to do that. I had to also go. I have a space for Cray Caribbean has a space on campus, a physical lab space where we have a lot of equipment. So part of my job was making sure the staff and everybody had secured the equipment, because we're in another location and had some issues with a leaking roof before, just this summer, and we had to relocate. And so I was very nervous about stuff like that. But once we got that in order, it wasn't until the Friday when I saw the trajectory of the storm, I started, mobilizing myself to be like, let me check on the students and make sure everybody, and Ayla is the president of the Dominica Student Association. So my first thing is like, did you check on everybody? Is everybody okay? But you need to pack your stuff. I checked in with a few of the other people, and I said, everybody pack a to-go bag just in case, we have to move. I have a pretty secure home. And so I was able to take a few of them into my home. Even at the last minute, we had another young man join us at the house because he didn't feel safe on campus. That was by Sunday, when we had a lot of bad weather activity since Friday, right? So the weather activity was happening around us. A lot of rain overnight, long before the storm. On the Sunday night, like a piece of my ackee tree in my backyard fell down, like a huge tree, and it started falling since Saturday night, I think. So we had a lot of wind and rain activity from a long time before the storm, and we thought the storm was going to come more towards Kingston at that time. And even St. Thomas Parish, which is east of Kingston, we were seeing poles were down, cables were down, everything, and that was just on the weekend. So once we got situated, the other part of it was monitoring what was being the messaging at the university, at the senior management level, right? So I don't get to university for scale. Let me give you a context. The Faculty of Humanities and Education has a higher population than Dominica State College. Only Mona campus has about 19,000 students on and off campus. And that includes students who are all over the region and the world, right? And then we also have the global campus, with at least 7 sites in campus sites. So two campuses really were affected by this. It's not just Mona campus; it was also Mona campus and its satellite campus, which is Western Jamaica campus, and then global campus also was affected by this because we have many campus sites, just like the Dominica site. We have many campus country sites. Jamaica country sites are all over the country. So that was happening in another phase. Although I don't work for Global Campus anymore, these are our people. And so there's all of these ways that I had to check in with my colleagues from Global Campus from my previous role, right? And so so all of that preparation happened. And then Monday, we started seeing a lot of activity. That was when the storm started getting really intense. A lot of rain, a lot of water. I have a concrete roof, so I did not really have to worry too much about that. My friends who were children, when I have one close friend who was a young child when Gilbert came, our birthdays are only like a few days apart, and she called me and she's like, she lived most of her life. She relocated to the US immediately after Gilbert because of the impacts of Gilbert. And she was so stressed in her body about it that she took her family to the hotel to spend the time because she has a galvanized roof. She has a zinc roof compared to me. So some people were maybe taking extra precautions. One of the things that I was watching on the news was the reluctance of people. We experienced this in Dominica, people in flood prone and landslide prone situations did not want to evacuate. The JDF had to step in. There were some mandatory evacuations, even for my students. So Ivona will know of our program, our internship program at Dominica State College, because her daughter participated in that program. And we have the same program here. And I was calling one of the interns and saying, are you going to move? Because you live underneath. He said, no, miss, the mountain is behind us. I said, please know that the mountain can come down. Like, I just want to tell, I'm not trying to scare you, but they were very much like, oh, we'll be safe at our home because our home is concrete and we will be safe in our house. So people who did not have a context for the hurricane, it was very difficult and a little anxiety driven for me to be trying to explain to them what I know has already happened. And what I have seen with my own eyes, not just in Maria, but in Erica and all of those situations, to the people who were close to me. But I also on the news, more distant, I was watching the government and the military really taking initiative and trying to get people out of those communities as much as possible. And then the storm came, Kingston on our end from my house. Those of us who were here, we were 4 of us here with my pets. You know, we saw the tail end give us the strongest wind. So it was when the storm was almost done that we got the worst of it. Because of the trajectory it took, because it went west, it went up, and then it veered east. So we got that last end of it. So that was when we got, I would say around Tuesday between 3 and 5 was the worst of the storm. The winds, and that's when all the trees fell down. We were taking bets on which tree would fall. A tree fell right outside my bedroom window, but it didn't crash into anything. I had a lot of, my yard is very green, and so a lot of down trees in my yard and my neighbor's yard, on the power lines and so on. We lost power Monday. It came back for a while in the evening, give us an opportunity to charge our devices and so on, but we didn't get power back at my house after the storm until Friday evening, which is very, very soon. And it's also because of our location, because I live in faculty housing and it's part of the campus. And so in the campus restoration, we also got back electricity. So I fared out pretty well, physically, materially. A little water came into the house, but you know, the students were here and we all managed together to kind of clean up and prepare together. They were very helpful in their own. I had to kind of remember to be aware that when Maria happened, they were all 11, you know, they were kids and also traumatized by that. And so, and then they went through COVID and when they were in high school and then this happening again, it was a lot. And so I had to try to kind of remain steady to have them do their little, what they call crash outs once in a while. But they fared well, they were in good spirits, which made me feel more at ease. And they were very helpful in all of us kind of gathering together to fare it out. So we made out well. And then the work kind of began after that for me.
Wow.
In terms of, I mean, man, that's a lot, because I guess in doing all that, maybe Maria was at the back of your mind and now and then flashing forward, you know, the experiences of Maria and everything else and what we as Dominicans had gone through. Were you able in any way to, like, when you were calling on your students and let us say, hey, take this seriously, did you have to probably use some Maria experiences for them to let them know this can really happen?
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. I believe in bullying my students into doing what I want. I don't care what people say. Everybody who knows me and who has worked with me, I will get you to listen to me if I have to beat you down. So I really said to them, I really am not trying to scare you, but here's what happened in Tropical Storm Erica when a whole mountain came down and we lost 35 people that we know of. Okay, let me show you the statistics. You can go online and click it, and I send them pictures from my phone of all of the things that happened in Maria. But I also did that with a sense of not to scare them, but to help them prepare. And I gave them a list of things that I think they should do to prepare their house. And because you know what happened in Maria, I have a very long story around climate justice and the environment and how Maria, every time this happens, I get viscerally angry about climate injustice in the Caribbean. And every time it happens, and I am just like, first of all, God, I am not the strongest soldier. Please take me off the list. Why am I here again and again and again? Because I had to be in a very similar role during Tropical Storm Erica in management at DSC, again in Maria. And now, not only do I have to experience it as a sort of a person, a resident living through the storm 3 times in this way, but I am also again in education management where I have to get myself together very quickly to go to work, right? And that is so I needed all of my students to understand that I cannot help you when this is over if you are not listening to me now. Like, I need you to understand that I'm going to have to go to work. and y'all can call me crying. During Hurricane Maria, 7 p.m., 8 p.m., I had children on fire. Miss, come get me. My roof is gone. I'm under a mattress. Miss, come get me. My mother won't leave the house in Baffert State or wherever, and the river is coming in. Miss, come get me. And a lot of it wasn't just their fault because they are kids. They had their parents made decisions about their safety. And now I am getting texts every 5 minutes in my phone during Hurricane Maria of where the students are located and they need help to get out, and nobody can go anywhere. You remember what this was like. We're stuck at 7 p.m. Everybody had to stay where they were. Right. So I just had to live through and kind of coach them through how to stay safe and stay calm in those situations. I wasn't going to have that on my phone again. That was one thing I was deliberate about. I'm like, I cannot have you in distress and I'm unable to help you. Because there is going to be a time when no one will be allowed to leave their houses and no one will be able to get to you. So you need to get the window where you need to leave. If you have to do that, you need to respond to that window. You need to respond to the authorities. And if you are choosing not to go, here are things you can do in your house right now to stay safe. Right. So I did give them a list of things they need to do: find a room without windows and doors, make sure they have a mattress that's light and ready to go, all of the things that they can do to try to keep a little vent open so the roof doesn't completely blow off because of the pressure, all of these little things. So they had a list, they had a manual of, and I told them to kind of watch the news and follow along, make sure they have a radio or some charge. But, you know, the other thing is that we are losing a lot of analog recipes, thinking that the digital age is going to save us. But I am a digital humanities scholar. I work with technology. I'm a coder. I am a programmer as well as a literary scholar. We need analog things, right? We need to still have a radio in your house that has a pull-up antenna. You still need to have analog things when these things happen, because the digital is absolutely not going to be secure or safe in times like this. You cannot rely on it. I remember after Maria. So that was very difficult, but also it's exhausting to do this over and over again, and we have no control over it, right? This is not something that is within our control. At this point, we have reached the ocean temperature limit. We're going to see these storms come. They're not going to be like David and Gilbert. I know people keep comparing them and saying what was worse, and experience and perspective is everything. But the size, the volume of water, the capacity of the storm to slow down because of temperatures. And I don't want to get too political, but I am myself, not to mention that at this moment that the storm is moving through the ocean, the United States government is bombing several ships in the Caribbean basin, which is adding to the ocean temperatures, right? Whatever position you want to take on what the strategy is, the fact remains, this is actual facts, scientific facts, that the bombs and the missiles are adding to the ocean temperatures, which is making the storm slower and stronger, right? So this is not a nature problem, right? These are things that can be rolled back to do them, but we in the Caribbean have the least, I wouldn't say least political power, but we also are at a disadvantage politically to make some of these changes. And
I'm
also,
happy you mentioned this. I'm really happy you mentioned this.
Yeah, it is part of the problem. You see it, and in the Pacific, a storm is coming in the Philippines right now, and that there are also missiles being sent in the water there. There's a huge typhoon going towards the Philippines right as we speak. So these climate crises are a product of war as well. Like, they are a product of our desire to constantly use technology for the most nefarious means that we can find, including AI. Please stop using AI. I beg y'all. I know it's controversial. I know people want to use it, and I know all of that. But every time you ask AI a question that Google could answer, you're using the amount of water that Dominica uses in a day.
But I'm happy that you
I just want to give people the statistics on that.
I'm happy, Dr. Charlotte, that you raised some of the points, especially where climate injustice is concerned, because it's obvious that there's how I would call it, a disproportionate vulnerability to climate change that continues to haunt us in this part of the world. And I mean, wow, when you look at what happened in Jamaica just recently, the countries, Dominica has had its fair share, and it continues all over in the Caribbean. But Nigel, that is a discussion I think we need to have on a future program to look at this climate change in
Oh
various
yes, oh yes,
aspects
oh
of
yes,
climate
oh
change,
yes, and of
its
course
injustices.
our dear friend from the Kalinago territory who speaks on climate justice.
Oh yes.
That we had him for a few, you know. But that's definitely a topic we have to explore, and how the external forces or
Yeah.
um, the external players and how they affect us within the Caribbean region as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, but Dr. Esprit, in terms of what's happening right now, the recovery that's going on, the Dominican students, everybody seems to be getting on that recovery trajectory, right?
And Dr. Esprit, I
That's
know just before you answer,
that's interesting.
just before you answer, Dr.
Yes,
Esprit, I know you
yes,
have
I
I know
wanna.
you have an appointment coming up, so you don't want to make it short, I guess. But interesting
Oh yes,
question
I
that
have an
Nigel asked.
appointment.
Yes. So yes, as we end, Nigel's question.
Yeah, sure. Most of us on campus and in the Kingston area are fine and on the way to recovery. I just want to make that clear. I went out on the road as part of my job to do some data collection. I have been collecting data on behalf of the faculty. I cannot speak for the university. University senior management has rolled out a recovery plan, and we are moving forward with that recovery plan for those of us in the various units. So students are back at school as much as they can, with arrangements being made for the people who cannot possibly come back right now. Some concessions made for that. The examinations period has been extended, and there are concessions. For example, the campus principal has announced that there will be a 50% discount of the balance of students who cannot afford to completely pay their fees. And for those fees that they still have incurred, they will have until May 2026 to pay, so that they will not be prevented from doing their examinations or anything like that. So that is one very clear concession that was stated in his statement. So the school, we are back on schedule for the school for those who can come back.
Okay.
There are many students who are still away and who have not been able to even access or contact us, because the vast majority of people in those areas. I went to Mobay, I went to St. James and Hanover parishes on Wednesday. I saw for myself the devastation. It looks a lot like what we saw in Maria. People finding a source here and there to be able to wash their car, wash their clothes, all of these things. The roads are broken down. The airport is functional, but there's no water, no electricity, and no internet in the major Mobay center, in the city center in Mobay, in Montego Bay. Outside of that, roads are still blocked. There are a lot of communities that we drove through or got on that still don't have, we have not seen any like formal relief presence there. A lot of the focus has been on St. Elizabeth, on the news, in the relief. We are hoping that people will get to I have spoken to some people in official positions in other relief organizations that have said that they are going to those locations. But what I'm seeing is very much like what we saw. There are cut off communities. There are people who have washed the river. There's mud piled up in the river communities. We went to a river community. It's like a rafting tourism spot in Hanover, and you could see the mud piled up in very similar ways where the river came through. And there's some roads that are cut off, lots of landslides, lots of broken roadways. In one place close to in St. Andrew in the Blue Mountains, entire roads have fallen like several hundred feet as landslides. So the road to Newcastle, where the Army Regiment, they have a monument there to the war. Those of you who've been in Jamaica will know Newcastle. That road is completely cut off by like a landslide, took it out, and so there are still very much maroon communities, even here in St. Andrew and all the way west, Maroon Town, all the roads in Westmoreland and St. Elizabeth and Trelawney completely cut off. So it is still a dire situation. Kingston is more or less, quote unquote, back to normal, but Kingston did get a lot of damage, and people have to mentally and emotionally take care of themselves. I know for me, this is a constant effort because of my previous experience. But my previous experience has really been a way for me to inform our faculty, and as someone on faculty management, it has really informed the decision making that we have done. And so it's a really unfortunate kind of unique experience to have. You understand? Like, yes,
Mhm.
it has value in this moment, but I'm so sad that we have to be here again and again and coming from that place. So that is really where we are. It's going to be a long road ahead, and it's a long road ahead even for our students who might not even be able to finish out the semester. We have been doing relief efforts at the faculty level. Um, so distributing food, distributing clothing, distributing linens, things like that. Some students have lost everything, and some students just have certain like immediate needs to help them recover. But there are students who are still looking for their family members and all of those things. So those of you who know what we went through in Maria, this is a very familiar territory. And imagine, like I said, the scale, right? It's 3 hours, 3.5 hours to St. Elizabeth on a good day.
Yeah.
So people
So imagine people trying to find their families when roads are cut off. It took us 12 hours on the road just to go to Hanover and come back, just because of, and this is, the highways are clear to go to Montego Bay, but even just the destruction, the slower traffic, more people trying to get to everyone. And they are saying, don't go down there if you don't have a real purpose, because it's causing more stress in the relief effort. So let the authorities do their best first. And so it's a hard road for Jamaicans. And we just have to be present to support them and to be there for us. I remember the JDF being very active at home when we were going through it. So yeah, so it's a long road ahead, but for us on this side and the Dominican students, we are in relatively good shape.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, Dr. Esprit. I know you have an appointment. We don't want to rush you. We have a part 2 as well. We will invite you again. I want to talk more about Create Caribbean and everything that you're involved in. So,
Oh, yes.
so yes, there's a lot that we can talk to you. You know, we can have a discussion with you on so many other areas, and we look forward to that as well. But all the best to you, all the best to the Dominican students, all the best to Jamaica as well.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate the connection.
All right.
Dr. Shaila Esprit. Nigel, wow.
Man, yes. And I can just imagine, because I mean, lots of times what you find is that once the hurricane has passed, right, you figure people are like, okay, it's all over.
Yeah.
But it's really the aftermath
Yeah,
and really the
aftermath.
recovery period and what's going on.
Oh,
And
yes.
certain communities still
Boy,
being,
yes.
blocked out, locked out.
Nigel, memories
off.
of Maria, man, just came, flooding through when she was speaking, Nigel. Having to walk from DBS every day to come to go to work and come back, having to walk, and you have to ensure that when you're going back home, you have to have some jerry cans of water because you have to take water to your home. And oh my goodness. Anyway.
Yes.
We
I mean, the
move
mental,
Yeah, I mean,
I think we have yet explored that mental aspect of what happens
some
when
people
you
are
go
very
through
much
those
traumatized
tragedies.
still. Yes.
I mean, oftentimes you recover the physical part. I mean, the house we rebuild.
Yeah,
we
but
cut the trees, we get the roads back, but that mental part of it. I remember just after Maria, in terms of like whenever it rained, people would be like so concerned. Just a little normal
People are
rain
still
that we
concerned.
normally would have anyways.
Yes, people are
without
still
no big
concerned
deal.
when the hurricane season comes
That used to be
around,
of concern.
All right, so Nigel, we have a part 2. I think we have someone on the line. Let's see what this person wants to share with us. Hello, connecting the dots.
Hello, morning.
Connecting the dots. Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Morning to you.
Yes, morning.
I just hear in the young
Morning.
talking about Jamaica.
Okay, but
about the
she's okay, but
Okay.
yes, she was on for the first part and she has left already. We are going to part 2 now.
Okay. I just want to reach out to the people out there. I thought she was still on, but
No.
this is something we have to take serious as a Caribbean people, to put our resources more together and be more collective. Because as the world is turning, we cannot depend too much on the big countries because they themselves have their own issue. As you can see around the world, I believe we Caribbean people have to come together and work more close to each other. Even in our military service, we need to put more things in place so that when those weathers there, like water, preserve water, even is underground, like, in safe areas like you build concrete tanks and things, because this thing is not no joke. This is another war, Nigel,
Yes,
morning to you, the cultural man.
Morning, my brother. Morning. How we doing?
Yeah, man. I appreciate the work all you have been continue carrying on. You have seen the result, the Creole Festival, many other things. I know you was in the culture for years, you and Raymond them. But sister, this is something the Caribbean government have to think of. Even all these people that have money, the
I understand.
security.
But what we can do though, I think we need to, as I said earlier, we need to we need to look at this in its entirety, the climate injustice, but that's for another program, okay? Because we have guests holding on now, so we can talk about this the next time. But thank you so much.
It's no joke.
Yeah.
This is serious global warming.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, so we have part 2. Yes, we have part 2 now. Our guests should be on, right, Nigel? We are going to talk diabetes at this time.
Yes. Which is something that's also serious in relation to not just the world and the Caribbean, but Dominica as well.
And I understood as well, Nigel,
what's happening.
Just to tie this in, I understood that even after Hurricane Maria, there was a time when in terms of the number of people with diabetes, I think it was going up just after Maria as well. And it, so Maria and lifestyle,
yes, and lifestyles and what, I guess the types of diet that we probably found ourselves having to either go back to or start using because of a lack of maybe some of the natural things that we had at home at the time. So I'm pretty sure our guests will be able to let us know more about that in terms of diet and how how diets can in some way affect one who either has it or may get it because of the diet. So
that's it. That's what
nice tie in here.
Of course, Nigel.
Who we have is Mr. Lando Carlton.
Carlton Lando.
Is he on? And who else is
your name?
And Dr. Bertrand. Are they all available? Let's see.
Carlton Lando and Dr. Bertrand.
What is falling there?
Okay, let's Nigel, I remember I learned at school that diabetes is a condition that occurs when your blood sugar is too high. And I think I would have learned that at primary school, And so I was telling myself, okay, I will not eat a lot of sweets and all of that. But then I realized later on that it was much more than that. But of course, the experts will explain to us, I think.
Yes, they will. Hopefully we'll have Dr. Lee and Lindy Bertrand will join us as well. Hopefully Dr. Bertrand will be on. But I think we have Carlton Lando with us, pharmacist by excellence. Good morning. Welcome, Carlton. How are we doing?
Good morning to everyone. It is a pleasure to be here connecting with you this morning on Connecting the Dots. It is one of the episodes, the shows that I never miss. I truly love the camaraderie with both of you as hosts.
Okay.
The way that you make your guests feel and the laughter. And then you always bring us to Atal.
Yes. You are a guest already, right?
I am a child of the early 70s, so I can identify with...
You can identify with
all the things that we talk about.
Yeah, I can identify with jerry can, when you buy that Clorox and then you save that bottle to go to the standpipe to get your water.
To go to the source.
I can identify with that.
Yes.
We appreciate that.
We appreciate
that. As you mentioned, Atal, Carlton. Even before we hear a little bit more about Carlton, for those who don't know,
he was a guest already, by the way.
Dominica and all that story.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, Atal, we were talking about the hurricanes and then the whole thing of after Maria, my son increasing diabetes and all that. So we want to tie in all that with Atal as well, because maybe the diet back then probably prevented the I guess the increase or the rise of diabetes. So we'll find out about that. But very quickly, Carlton, for those who don't know, what part of Dominica is Carlton from?
Well, I'm split. I will tell people, I always say that I'm half Jimit, half St. Joseph. I spent a lot of my time in St. Joseph. I went both primary and secondary school in St. Joseph. My entire family, my father's side is from St. Joseph. My mother's side is primarily from Maho Jimit. So I'm split in the middle.
All right.
We'll take that. You're man of the West Coast.
Carlton, you were a guest already, Carlton. What year was that? You were a guest on Connecting the Dots. Was it last year? Or
yes, it was.
In 2025, it may have been 2023.
Three probably.
That
it's
far?
been a while.
I think it may have been 2023. Yes.
Oh, well, you're due back, man, Carlton. Okay.
It's been a while.
Okay.
So, Carlton, did we find, first of all, just in its simplest form, diabetes, what is it? Just in its simplest form.
Yeah.
Right. So diabetes basically is a metabolic disease. When we talk about metabolic, we're basically talking about the endocrine system relating to your hormones. It is a disease that affects how sugar is controlled or not controlled. It is one of those diseases that oftentimes we would call pisadu or sweet sugar or I have sugar. We would normally classify, use these terminologies to simplistically classify it or define it.
Right.
But what we're seeing now is that diabetes not only endemic to Dominica, but globally it is really on a rampant. It is taking over. The numbers are not getting better. The numbers are not getting better.
Carlson, you told us about the endocrine system, but tell us specifically as well about the pancreas, because from what I understand is that when your pancreas doesn't make enough insulin or no insulin at all, something to that extent, just clarify that for us. Put it in simple terms so I can understand.
And that's a good question that you've asked. The pancreas, which is an organ that sits right beneath the liver, it is responsible for creating a hormone called insulin, and that hormone is specifically responsible for regulating and controlling and balancing our glucose level. Now, glucose or sugar is one of the electrolytes that the body requires, just like salt, just like potassium. Without glucose, you practically do not have the electricity that your heart, your brain requires or needs in order for it to live. However, if your glucose levels are too high, then that creates a problem. And that's where the insulin comes in to help to control and balance off or dilute the excess sugar in the bloodstream. So what happens in a case where you are becoming or you are diabetic? There is what we call insulin resistance, and that is where you have difficulty with how your insulin is metabolized or how is it broken down. And then you find that you have an accumulation of sugar. We see that a lot, particularly in people who are obese, people who are quite sedimentary, or you don't exercise, you don't do no type of work, people who are more or less above the age of 40, you can begin to experience a bit of insulin resistance. Our ethnicity, because we're Black, that predisposes us even more to insulin resistance. And so that is another big topic that endocrinologists are quite concerned about these days. I mean, if you were to have Dr. Maxim on, who is one of our resident consultant endocrinologists and a good friend of mine, she will, she's been doing a lot of work as it relates to insulin resistance, particularly in the younger population. We see now a lot of our young people, a lot of our students and pupils are significantly obese. Some even are morbid obese, where they are weighing way above the average weight that they should be weighing, and that is of concern to us. We see cases where people develop darkening of the neck and darkening of the cheeks. So you'd see that
a lot.
The cheeks begin to discolorize into this black shadowed mark. We see it on the neck as well. And sometimes people think it's what we would call quas. So they would say, well, I'm scrubbing my skin and yet still I'm seeing these rings of black, darkening, discolorization happening on my neck. These are already showing that you're developing signs of insulin resistance. So in my profession as a pharmacist, when people would have come to the pharmacy and often ask, can I get a skin lightening cream? Because they don't know. They're assuming it's, maybe, just a skin problem. But again, a pharmacist, a doctor would be able to differentiate whether it's a tinea, what we call a type of fungus, or whether it's actually that resistant symptom that is associated with insulin.
Okay.
And oftentimes when we recommend an insulin resistant test and an HbA1c test, I've always had the parents come back and say, yes, this is what the results are showing.
Okay.
And so this is why we are here. Today, I'm wearing the hat of the first vice president of the Dominica Diabetes Association. So I'm speaking on behalf of the association because the 14th of November each year is World Diabetes Day. And it's a day where we actually sensitize the public on what is happening as it relates to diabetes.
Okay.
Diabetes is now considered a chronic non-communicable disease. Why is it classified as such? Because it is closely linked to lifestyle. It is closely linked to diet and so forth.
Okay.
And so as we go along in the
Yes,
discussion,
yes, sure.
I will be able to let
Yes.
you know some statistics
Okay.
as it relates to the prevalence of diabetes in Dominica.
Okay, so we have with us as well Dr. Bernard. Dr. Bernard, good morning to you. Not sure if you're hearing me, Dr. Bernard. Okay, you may be on mute. I'm not too sure. Let's see if we can rectify this. I know you can tell us more about diabetes prevention, management and the likes. Dr. Bernard, good morning. We're not hearing Dr. Bernard. I'm not sure why though. Carlton, you're
Well,
still
I think
online?
she's just looking at us and smiling, but she's not saying anything yet. So maybe I'll get her to talk. I don't know.
Okay, Nigel, try Nigel. Let me
Yes, she's just
Nigel, tell her
smiling at
hello.
me,
Tell her
smiling
hello,
at us,
Nigel.
but she's not saying anything.
Bring it on, Nigel.
So good morning to you, Dr. Bernard Lindy. How are you doing? How are you? You're on mute.
You're probably on
Either you're on
mute.
mute or you're not coming through. I don't know which one. But I seen her lips moving and she's saying good morning through her lips, but I'm not hearing her. Can you? She's hearing us, but we're not
She's
hearing her.
us. Okay.
So I don't know if it's something on our end, if it's on her end. Can you hear? Can you say something again? Hello. Yeah, she's saying hello, good morning through her lips, but I'm not hearing. So the audio might be a little. I don't know. Try again. Yes. Good morning. Okay. So just keep saying good morning, and eventually you'll come through.
As you open on the side.
At some point we will hear you. I don't know what's going on, but at some point we will hear you. We can see you, we can see your lips moving, but we just can't hear you. So at some point we will eventually hear you. But whilst you're waiting for that though, whilst you're waiting to hear Dr. And at any point in time, Dr. Bernard, just talk so we'll know you're on, okay? In the meantime, whilst you're waiting for that though, Carlton, in terms of you were saying some of the statistics, do we find is there a greater prevalence among or in which age group and in which sex do we find diabetes being more prevalent in Dominica? Do we have stats for that?
And I well, unfortunately, I don't. That's one of our.
Oh, we can hear Dr. Bernard. Sorry, Carlton, but I hear you hearing it all. Hello. You said good morning. Yes, I can hear you now. Oh my. We can finally hear you.
I'm sorry about that. Good morning. I'm so sorry about that.
That's okay. That's
Okay,
all right.
no
That's
problem.
all right. That's no problem.
We have you on.
The technology happens
The internet.
sometimes to all of us.
Bad.
You know?
Okay.
So good morning, man. Nice to have you connecting with us. How you doing?
Nice
I don't know. There's something wrong with the.
to be here. Good. I'm doing fine.
Okay, there's some connectivity issue. It's
Yeah.
Okay.
it freezes and
doing
then
fine.
it comes. It freezes.
Oh yeah, she's doing fine. Let me see if I can ask her one more question. I wonder why we try to fix out the connectivity vibes. Can you hear me?
You're having difficulty hearing me, and I'm really not sure why.
Okay,
I
we're
can hear
hearing you clear now.
We
Let's
can hear you now.
let's
hear me now.
Yes, we're hearing you now.
I think
Okay,
we can hear you
tell
now.
us who
It's
is
kind of
Dr.
going in and
Bernard.
out, but I think we can hear you okay now.
Yes.
That's
Perfect.
Let's begin with you introducing yourself. Tell us who you are.
Okay, my name is Dr. Bertram.
Did I say Bernard? It's Bertrand. It's Bertrand.
Yes, Bertrand.
Bertrand,
Right.
As
yes.
far as
My apologies,
education,
Bertrand.
I did my BSc at the University of the West Indies in Trinidad. Then I went on to Canada, where I completed a
Yeah, we are having some issues, Nigel. Definitely.
master's and a PhD that was in nutrition. I work with the Diabetes Association mostly. As a consultant when it's regards for involvement than I do.
So I'm not sure if I got that part, though, but what part of Dominica are you from, or are you from Dominica?
Internet or something.
Yeah, there's it could be.
Okay,
that
so I'm not sure
there's
if you heard that last question
internet
that I asked.
issues.
Okay.
So
We're trying to rectify that. I know the web administrator is trying to see what he can do to
what he can do on his
yes,
end.
on his
Okay,
end
all
as
right,
well
all right.
to
So whilst we're getting that sorted out, when you do get a chance, Dr. Bertrand, and is it Lindy or Lindsay? What you give me the proper pronunciation of your first name as well? I want to make sure I get it right too. You know,
Leandy
Bertrand, Doctor. Yes.
Leandy. Okay, Leandy Bertrand. Okay, Dr. Leandy Bertrand. And you were saying what part of Dominica you saying you're from?
I think there's a delay. There's a delay on her end. In the meantime, I see the web administrator is trying to see what he can do
Trying
to
to see what he
rectify
can do.
the situation
All
on her
right. So
end.
Carlton, whilst we try to get that
Yeah.
sorted out, though, yeah, maybe she can log off and log back in. That might probably be a good idea. You were saying you're not sure
yes.
about the stats, but generally, I mean, what do we see happening? Is it more prevalent among women, men, after 40s, 50s? What general
Let's look at the
stats we have
demographics,
that,
yeah.
or do we have any of that?
I like that question because it resonates the fact that statistics are so important. For us as an association, that is one of our issues, the lack of statistics. We are now trying our best to see how we can begin to collate and gather some statistics through the use of certain methodologies, more so qualitative analysis. But what we're seeing though is that there is an increase in the prevalence of diabetes, particularly type 2 diabetes, which is the non-insulin dependent diabetes. And we're seeing a spike in that. We are seeing also a spike in gestational diabetes, so that is women who are of childbearing age and may get pregnant, developing elevated glucose levels during their pregnancy, and that in itself predisposes them, or it increases their risk for actually becoming diabetic later down in life. So these are concerns that we have. As I said, we're seeing that spike, particularly in the age demographic 40 to 60 years gap. So people who are of the age of 40 plus. Now, even in terms of preventative health education, we are now advising young adults, particularly if you are of the age group of 35 upwards, to begin to screen for diabetes, particularly if there is a family history of diabetes. Now, as I did say in my opening, diabetes is closely linked to our Black ethnicity. So because we are Black, which we have absolutely no control over, that is a biometric. So because we're Black, it's who we are. That in itself is a risk factor to diabetes. And so if you're Black and you do have a family history of diabetes, your mother, a sister, a brother, your grandmother, somebody closely linked in your genetics may have had diabetes, then that predisposes you. And what we're trying to say is that preventative health is the way forward. Getting screened, knowing your status, from an early onset, that in itself is going to help you with the control. It's going
Right.
to help you with the adherence to if you are to be placed on medication. It's going to help you to make the modifications in your lifestyle. All of that is going to help. Let me just give you a personal experience. So in the year 2020, I was trying to get a life insurance policy. And if life insurance policy, they ask you to do all these tests, the
Right.
insurance company will send you to one of their doctors and you don't have to pay for the tests and they will do all of that. And so I had all of the tests done. And when my results came back, my HbA1c was I think it may have been 6.4 thereabout. And my cholesterol was also very high. I flipped. I literally flipped. I was shocked because anybody who knows me, I've never been a big person at my age. I've generally been average, normal built. I felt that I was doing all the right things in terms of, eating properly and all of that.
Exercise and all that.
And when my results came back, I was pre-diabetic, very close to becoming diabetic based on my numbers, and my cholesterol was high. And it took me a few days to do my own assessment as to what may have contributed to these numbers. And when I looked back, I recognized that one, I was eating a lot of foods that were laden with fats. When I talk about fats, I'm talking about the full cream milk. It tastes really nice. We love to have our milk thick, as we were to put it. I was eating a lot of cheese, particularly. I would eat cheese and crackers in the night for dinner with maybe a cup of milk, which is like full cream milk, powdered milk. And I would do that all the time. Plus, I was quite sedimentary. When I did my assessment of myself, in a sense, an audit, I recognized that really and truly, I wasn't involved in any sporting activity, no type of physical activity. And that made me recognize that these were two main factors that caused the changes in my glucose levels. And I didn't stop there. I said, okay, I am now going to make a change. And I started running at the Pottersville Savannah. And it took me about 3 weeks to regulate my breathing and to get into running. And then 5 years after, I can say that I'm an avid runner. I run practically every day as my sport. And all my numbers came back to normal.
I want to go back to
All my
something you
numbers
said.
came back to normal.
I want to go back to something you said, Carlton, but let's just find out if Dr. Bertrand is on. Dr. Bertrand? Oh,
No, she
no,
hasn't joined us
she-
back
she
yet.
has not.
So
Okay. But,
hopefully she'll log back in a few, and probably
Yes.
that might ease.
And if not, and I would have to call her on the
issue.
telephone. I'll have to do that because she's very she's an important
Yes,
guest as
yes,
far as
yes,
prevention
yes.
and
If for any
management of
reason,
diabetes
probably
concerned.
just have to have her audio. If
Yes.
for any reason, she can do the
Yes, we'll
video.
have to do it like that.
But you were asking Carlton
You know,
something. though.
because Carlton said something that when the results came, it showed that he was like pre-diabetic. So explain to us what this means. Pre-diabetic. Some people will tell you that they are close to having diabetes. Some people will tell you that they are borderline diabetic. Give us a common explanation, an explanation all of us can
All right.
understand.
Right, I like that. So a pre-diabetic reading, basically, if you do an HbA1c test, it's usually in millimoles. If you have, if your HbA1c is between, let us say, below 5, you're not diabetic. You're great. If your HbA1c is, let us say, between 5.7 to 6.5, then that puts you at a pre-diabetic reading. A pre-diabetic basically means that you are very much a candidate that may develop diabetes very soon if you do not make the necessary lifestyle changes. The lifestyle changes will include dietary modification, physical activity, reducing foods that are laden in carbohydrates and sugars. All right, reducing foods that are laden in fats and trans fats. And that's where Dr. Bertrand would come in because she's the expert on nutrition. Because there is now a very close correlation between hyperlipidemia, what we call high cholesterol, and diabetes. So, in a sense, if you are diabetic, you will more than likely begin to see spikes in your cholesterol. Versus just as if you suffer with high cholesterol and you're not diabetic, if your cholesterol levels are not controlled, subsequently it will begin to spike your glucose levels. And that in itself now increases your risk to cardiovascular complications. Cardiovascular complications. So we're talking about the heart and the blood vessels. And that is why diabetics will begin to experience what you call peripheral neuropathic disease, or where the nerves, particularly in the extremities, the hands and the feet, will become desensitized. You don't feel, you lose sensation. So that is why even as diabetics, one of the screening mechanisms that is often used is that your doctor or primary health care nurse will help you to close your eyes, and they will take an object or a device, an object preferably, and they will touch one of your toes and ask you to identify what toe are they touching. And that will let them know whether you've lost sensation in that particular body part.
Okay.
So even at home, we ask people to sometimes test yourself. Ask one of your children or whatever it is. You close your eyes, you sit, and you take a feather or you take a Q-tip or something, and you touch that person's toe at random, and you ask that person to identify which of the toes that you are feeling, and that will give an indication as to whether they're losing sensitivity in their nerves.
Interesting. So even as we speak, someone can be doing exercises from what you're saying.
That's it.
Wow.
Yes, I just touched my toe.
But Nigel, I'm hitting my toe against the anyway. I think I hit it too
touch your toe?
hard. I hit it too hard. Seriously.
Yes, yes.
On iron again. But we have Dr. Bertrand on.
In the studio. Can't hit
Let's see Dr. Bertrand. Yes, it's yes. Hi, Dr. Bertrand. Yes. Hello, Dr. Bertrand.
Are you hearing me better this time?
Yes, we can hear you now.
I hope it stays that way.
Okay.
Yes.
Welcome.
You were telling us what lovely village from Dominica are you from?
Yes.
Actually, so this is your second academic doctor from Maho. I heard Dr. Esprit on earlier. So I'm from the village that
never sleeps.
Maho as well.
All right, so Maho being represented today.
And I'm from Maho too.
Well, so today is Maho Day.
So you have Maho.
Yes. So I mean, Dr. Bertrand.
Maho show,
yes, Maho show. Dr. Bertrand, we were talking about the whole thing of diabetes, and you know, I know you were saying you're like a consultant to the association, and so just from we lose her again, we?
Oh yeah.
I think I not seen her anymore.
I'm not seen again. Okay,
maybe she's there. Oh no, she's here. She's here.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, no, but you're here again. You're here. So just, I mean, because we don't want to lose you again. So just overall, I mean, your thing on diabetes as it relates to
Nigel.
Yes, you can hear me?
You're not hearing us again?
I'm having difficulty hearing you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying Wi-Fi. I'm trying data.
There's an issue.
It's just not working. All right. So, well, before we lose you, just give us general views on diabetes. What's happening in the
I'll try the data. It's still not working.
Okay, tell us about diabetes prevention, management, and all of that. I'm not. You're hearing me now?
I wonder if you could hear me. Let's try the other method.
Okay. All right. We'll have to try the other method because we want to hear you. So I'm going to call you straight. And we'll make it happen this way, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Nigel, keep talking. Okay. Yes, Nigel. Keep talking, Nigel. I'm
Yes,
going to
yes,
try
yes.
something
Keep talking
there.
whilst you try the other
Yes,
way.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
so whilst you're trying the other way, but you can still hear me, right? Dr. Bertrand.
Yes,
Okay,
okay.
and Carlton can hear me as well. All right, so
And
no
here we
problem.
come.
We'll try the other way. So Carlton, one of the things I know is in terms of because you mentioned it quite a bit, right? Diet as well as your lifestyle. The association, the Diabetics Association. First of all, you've been around for a little bit, right?
Well, I have been with the association from since our former president, Miss Birmingham, who did, work tirelessly with the association. I was a technical advisor to the association at that time, not officially a member, but a technical advisor to the association at that time. And then just at least a year before she departed this earth, I became a full-fledged member of the association and was eventually elected as first vice president of the
Okay.
association. And we've been tirelessly working as much as possible in terms of mobilization, public health education, health promotion, as it relates to diabetes awareness, diabetes care, diabetes management, because we know that it is one thing to be not, because both I'm not a diabetic, the president is not a diabetic. There are quite a number of people on the association who are not diabetic. So it is fine for us to be all technical in terms of disseminating the information to the patient who is diabetic, but not necessarily. So let me just give you an example. So a simple thing like adhering to medication, you having to use some sort of insulin multiple times a day. That is, you have to inject yourself, which comes with discomfort. It comes with some level of pain. It comes with some level of psychological anxiety. You're talking about you have to be always conscientious as to what you eat, the food portions, the type of foods, the content of sugar, knowing that you may have to test your sugar even before you indulge in that food. And you're thinking of all of these changes that goes on with an individual each day. And so for us, we have to be empathetic to understanding the life of a diabetic and what they
Yeah.
experience. Not feeling like I want to take a medication this morning, but knowing that if I don't take it, my glucose level can either spike or it can drop. And if it drops,
Yeah.
I can get into a coma. And so we have to understand the life of a diabetic, what they really go through, and sometimes sit in a safe space with them to sort of help them with the psychosocial support that is required in helping them to live healthy, optimal life life practices, to be able to do that with very little depression or stress or anxiety.
Okay.
So it's
Carlton,
not
Carlton.
easy to just say, well, oh, that person is careless, they're not taking care of themselves, but
Yeah.
also to put yourself in that person's shoe. That person might be on multiple medications. That person might still be taking medicines for diabetes, for high
For
blood
the yeah.
pressure, and cholesterol. And that person might still have issues with their nerves and might have to be taking painkillers every day. So it's a lot of different aspects of the therapy that must be encapsulated with the care.
Okay, just stick up in there. Let's see if we have Dr. Bertrand on now. We have her via telephone though. We had to go that
Hi.
way. Hi, yes, Dr. Bertrand. We're hearing you
Good
clearly now.
morning
Hi, good morning
again.
again.
I'm sorry for all of this.
Okay, so I know you have a lot to tell us, and we want to capture as much as you have to tell us with the short space of time that we have left on the program. But just tell us again who you are, and of course you said you're from Maho. You were kind of cutting up, so we have you clearly now. So just tell us who you are, and we'll continue.
My name is Leanne Bertrand from Maho, Dr. Bertrand, and by way of PhD, I studied at the University of the West Indies, Trinidad, and then went on to Canada where I completed a master's and a PhD in nutrition. I did a bit of teaching as well in Nova Scotia, Canada, and as well on the Prairie, Saskatchewan as well.
Okay.
I guess my background and my interest in nutrition stem from originally agriculture. I was raised by two farmers from Maho, and it really began with wanting to be something like my parents, agriculture based, but then it developed into something that I saw was a need in Dominica. That is nutrition professionals. I knew that there are, stalwarts like Dr. Lambert, and there was just a need that I feel that needed to be filled in terms of the lack of nutrition professionals.
Okay, interesting, Nigel.
Yes, so Dr. Bertrand, in terms of nutrition, and Carlton mentioned it once or twice, in terms of the diet and so on, how closely related is that with the whole thing of diabetes?
Well, diet is one of them. Again, as you said, it's a multifactorial cause, and diet is something that when we speak of diet, we often think about the sugar, but it's not even of relevance when thinking about the causes. It's when you have been diagnosed with type 1 or type 2, that's when you're going to realize that, diet is going to need to be managed. So definitely it plays a very, very crucial role in diabetes prevention and diabetes management.
So, question for the both of you, right? Someone who is not diabetic, and of course trying not to get there, what would you say to them in terms of the diet that they should probably, engage in terms of the sugars and the fats and everything else? That's on one side of the fence. On the other side of the fence, the person already is diabetic now. What kind of diet should they be engaged in?
Great.
So one, we're trying to prevent. Two, we have it already. What should we do?
Okay, in terms of preventing diabetes, one of the nutrients that play a key role is fat, actually. Right? And then there are two types of fat there. Just to put it simply, there is the healthy fat like that comes from fish, fat that comes from eating a lot of nuts, fat that comes from eating a lot of avocados. And there is the type of fat that we get because we are so culturally, entrenched to fry something. We are so culturally entrenched to have the types of meat that carries a lot of fat, like pork and beef. So preventing adiposity, that is a lot of fat around your stomach, and being fat is one of the things that you need to do to prevent diabetes, I would say. And taking it away from the fat, again, what could prevent diabetes is eating more of the good fats that would help prevent inflammation. So that would be like eating more of the fish, eating more of the nuts, eating more of the avocados that would help prevent inflammation. The big word that is getting more traffic, I would hear people saying, is omega-3, and that's where they come from, basically from the good fats like the nuts and the fish. So it does play a key role in preventing inflammation, and the development of diabetes is actually inflammatory as well as hormonal. So in addition to eating more of the good fats, eating less of the bad fats, there is also eating more fiber. So fiber is basically a component of food that we cannot digest. So we get fiber from vegetables to a great extent. We get fiber from nuts again. We get fiber from peas and beans. So these types of food, when we eat them, we don't digest them. So for something to be able to even cause harm, you need to be able to digest it and absorb it. But we don't digest fiber, we pass it out. So that's how it helps in just making sure that whatever we eat, it doesn't lead to a sugar spike, or it doesn't lead to adiposity or gaining more fat. And then there is a non-diet related factor that is physical activity. I mean, we are more sedentary than we were before. People moved more before than they do now. So we need to burn more of the foods that we eat in order for it to not settle, our stomach, settle in our heart, and build up as well. So definitely, just to sum it up, again, more of fiber, more of the healthy fat, or the omega-3, the polyunsaturated fatty acids, and less of the saturated fatty acids like the fried foods, the processed foods, and the meats like the pork and the beef, and even the chicken with the skin on, because we like wings, right? And then there is.
Wait, Nigel, I'm in trouble. In trouble. Yes, I'm in trouble. You're talking to me.
I was just about to make a smoke wings, bro.
And the pork and all that.
You just put her up there.
Yes, yes. I like
so definitely, it's something that comes into the picture as far as saturated fat is concerned. The skin of the chicken definitely
Oh, my
something.
goodness.
As a nutritionist, I would say remove the skin from the chicken.
Okay.
But I would love to hear. But I love the way
Yeah, I
so I'm
gonna
like,
remove the skin. Okay, I wanna before
Nigel
you go to the rest
Makashi's
of the thing.
Twombly. Yeah.
a piece of meat by removing the fat.
Okay. But Dr. Bertrand, interesting that you mentioned that. And I want to look at the demographics, particularly as it relates to gender and age more so. What are you seeing in recent times?
What am I seeing in recent times? Well, growing up and just being involved in terms of what I know from before, we used to think it's an elderly disease. Like, you know, you're at a particular age, you're beyond 60. You used to think that. But as far as evidence is showing, scholarly evidence is showing that it's across the life cycle. So people as young as, 20 has type 2 diabetes, and again, it's because of the transition. There's a nutrition transition that we're going through. So we are seeing more and more of diabetes, especially type 2, in very young people that we didn't see before.
Interesting.
So we got from Dr. Bertrand, like for you, if you to prevent, for someone who already has it, what would be like a recommended, if any idea, what would be a recommended diet for that person?
I think what is important, and again, I prefer that the nutritionist deals with the diet.
Okay.
But from a once you've been diagnosed, and you have been diagnosed based on evidence base, your readings, your doctor firstly should begin to educate you. So it begins with education. And the education has to be translated in a language that the patient can understand. Sometimes the patient may not be very literate, so we do not use all these value-laden jargons, medical jargons that would actually be forfeiting the whole purpose. So you really want to sit down and kind of do an audit of the patient. To walk me through what your everyday meal is like. And don't forget too that when we talk about lifestyles, we must include economics. We must include economics because you may have people who are very much under the poverty belt, and all they can really afford is rice, which is cheap and VAT, and there's no VAT. Is rice and sugar. Those foods do not really have VAT. And that person may not be able to afford maybe the foods that are of a higher value in terms of nutrition.
Yeah, that's true.
So you have to take that into consideration. You have to take into the literacy level of the patient. Do they understand the disease in terms of complications of the disease? It's not just looking at the disease as a disease, but looking at how can we prevent complications and what is it going to take to prevent these complications. So we're talking about amputations, we're talking about blindness, we're talking about loss of sensation, we're talking about heart disease, all of these things. We're talking about strokes, the prevention of strokes. What is it going to take for me to know the facts and understand? Because I will tell you, in my 27 years of being a pharmacist, especially in Dominica, because I've worked outside of Dominica too, what Dominicans love to say is a false sense of security. And I'm sure Dr. Bertrand, who came back just a few years ago, would have heard that too. Or the doctor tell me I have a trace of XYZ. And the doctor didn't tell him that, but it's a false sense of security that they don't want to accept the diagnosis, especially the younger demographics. So you might diagnose a young man who thinks he has the world in front of him, he's on his motorbike, he has the girls running after him, and he doesn't want anybody to know that he was diagnosed with elevated sugar. So he's diagnosed with diabetes. And so he might tell somebody, boy, I went to the doctor and they tell me my sugar was a little high yesterday. But really and truly, a prescription was written to that patient for them to start medications for diabetes. And that patient just that's where the psychosocial evaluation and support is so important, that you understand this disease and the ramifications of that disease.
in a sense, Carlton and Dr. Bertrand, I guess it is a stigma, or is it the thing that we have that diabetes
Yes,
was a
still,
thing for us, as you mentioned, for old people, and if you have diabetes, it means you're sick. So you don't want people to know you're sick, because that's something that we have culturally, right? We don't want anyone to know we're sick, because once we mention we have something, it means we're sick. So the whole thing of saying I have diabetes, that was like almost felt like you are going to be ostracized, you're going to be sidelined, the stigma remains, but Mr. have diabetes, he or she have diabetes. Is that something that we see that we probably need to educate on, to work on?
Yeah, the stigma is very important. And I will tell you, particularly with our men, our male, the male gender, it is a bit more prevalent among them, particularly the younger population or young men that may be within the age of 35 to 45 years age group. And the reason too is that a lot of the times, especially when the glucose levels elevate so bad, you are more likely as a man to experience erectile dysfunction, difficulty with maintaining and getting an erection. And a lot of these men would not dare want to tell somebody that they're diabetic because of they might think that their fellows might begin to tease them that they may have difficulty with their manhood. So it's a lot of factors, and that's why we say if you can control your glucose levels, then you will have absolutely no problem with your erection. But what leads to the erectile dysfunction is the high concentration of glucose. That is what is going to damage the nerves, and you will have difficulty maintaining and keeping an erection. So once you understand what it needs and what do you need to prevent and to control, you are on the right path. But you have to be cognizant and you have to be aware that, okay, I do have this condition. I need to educate myself about it. I need to know whether I look at YouTube videos, I read. It's important for me to know. And you want to get it from credible sources, and you want to get it from professionals, not from people who do not have the facts. And a lot of the times in Dominica, we like to say, my neighbor tell me, and you actually even believe the neighbor over the healthcare provider.
Well said. Nigel, I think...
important point, Carlton, about getting it from people who are just the neighbor or not credible sources. That's something I see a lot. Oh, that one taking that bush for that, so I'm going to try it. Something I often have to undo. Because it works for Karen doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Karen taking a bush, so you feel you have to take a bush too. I hear that it's good for that, so doctor, I'm going to take that. It's often something from an uncredible source that is, causing the stress because they want the same results as the other.
Yeah. One person may have other complications that you don't even have, and
Right.
But
someone was mentioning earlier.
Yes, I was saying, Nigel, let's go on the book because there are questions as well.
Fatty oils are good to take, like cod liver oil.
Yes.
Certainly.
Good to take.
So I highlighted that when I talked about the fish. That's where the whole cod liver oil trend came from, taking cod liver oil. So the cod liver oil, the role that they really play in diabetes is preventing inflammation. So the more inflammation that you experience, the more likely you are to develop diabetes, especially around the pancreas.
You as to speak about this, you know what forefathers were very smart? I grew up drinking cod liver oil. I had to take cod liver oil every day. And now, it's not as common as before. I mean, there are people who still take cod liver oil, obviously. But back in the day, you just had to take it, whether you liked it or not. And then you eat a slice of grapefruit or whatever after because of the taste. But it's interesting that you mentioned that. And so many of the lifestyles that we had before, I think we should revisit. That is for another discussion. Because, Nigel, I'm also thinking that we have to invite, if not Carlton and Dr. Bertrand, but we have to keep this discussion going.
We do.
On diabetes, and not just on diabetes, CNCD is on the rise, and we have to really talk about these things. But I'm glad that we are talking about it right today. And next week is World Diabetes Day. I think on the 14th. You said, Carlton.
Yes. So I want to run through the calendar quickly of activities that we have. So. Yeah. DOMDA, that is the Dominica Diabetes Association. On the 14th, as I said, it's World Diabetes Day. We are having a live press conference with the media where we'll let them know, what we've been seeing in Dominica. We'll have a table of experts on that, a panel. And so we'll be focusing on that. This year, the theme is diabetes and the workplace. No more and do more for diabetes at work. And so it will be interesting even for workplace like DBS to maybe have a little screening, maybe invite a nurse, invite somebody to come and do a little screening among the staff, just to make sure that everybody's fine. Do your blood pressure, your glucose, your random blood sugar glucose, check your cholesterol, these little things. Those are very, very important. And then we also have a visit to some workspaces. So we'll be at Whitchurch doing some screening. We'll be at Rudolph Thomas in Portsmouth. And we'll be doing some collaborative work with the Castle Bruce Health District along the way. So what we've done is we have a month of activities in that period of November. So we've taken it more than just a day, and we have other activities. We have in a radio fund as well, where we want to raise funds for the association. One of the things that we really recognize, especially right now, you have new drugs like Ozempic, which is really taking the world by storm. But Ozempic is very expensive. It's going to be about $1,000 something for Ozempic. The average person, we do have our nutritionist and we have our endocrinologist who does prescribe Ozempic to patients right here in Dominica. And it might be the ideal treatment for many people, but can they afford it? So one of the mandates of the association is that we really want to raise funds that we might be able to help some of our members when they are in distress. Some of them may have to do a surgical procedure of the retina, or they may have they may have a stroke, or they may need a particular medication to buy, and they don't have the money, and they need that medication. That money, those monies that will be collected on the radio fund, would be able to assist our members to ensure that these little needs that they have will be met. We'll be having some training sessions as well, and we also have a live fitness session. So these are some of the activities that we have scheduled for in commemoration of World Diabetes Day. As we said, it's scheduled for the 14th of November.
That's next
and
Friday.
We are all excited about that. The color for diabetes is sky blue. So we're asking as many Dominicans to wear sky blue on that day, wear something sky blue. This is the official color for diabetes, sky blue. So we want your workplaces, you can put some sky blue cloth or something on your building, just to really identify and to stand in solidarity to the many people who are affected by diabetes.
I'm seeing a comment from I think Wallace Saint-Hilaire, and he's saying now we are not mentioning that diabetes can be as a result of a malfunctioning pancreatic system. But I think earlier on we mentioned that
we did mention that.
Yes,
we did mention that.
Yes, when your pancreas doesn't make enough.
Dr. Bertrand, I know kind of running out of time as well. But in terms of diet, especially for the young people, for the kids and so on, and what we're feeding them, what would you like to recommend to, suggest to parents and so on for the diet of kids?
Yeah.
As far as diet of kids is concerned, what I would like to recommend is introducing them to those polyunsaturated fatty acids, what we call them, and really what it looks like is more nuts, because we don't see children eating nuts as before. I mean, even the coconuts are going to waste. We don't see children eating a lot of fish compared to the meat. So introducing them to those foods that are going to help in preventing, like as I mentioned, the fish, the nuts, the avocado, and definitely we don't see a lot of children eating that. And we often believe it's the sweet, but yes, we are supposed to keep them away from the sweet, but more introducing them to the fibrous foods and not those easily digestible, like the refined breakfast cereals and something always made from flour, like a white pasta. These kinds of things is more a transition, but more, I mean, as far as parents are concerned, I also want to address what is provided within the school environment too. So what is provided by the school feeding system, the school, program, also that needs to be addressed as well, not just what is provided within the home setting.
Okay. Tell us a little about the association, Carlton. I mean, you mentioned earlier, but is there a support group as well as part of the organization? spearheading, of course,
One of the
diabetes.
one of the strategic plans that we have constructed is, yes, we have the parent association based in headquartered in Goodwill, Roseau, but we've tried and we're looking at actually creating more cell groups decentralized throughout the different communities. So we have right now 7 health districts. Soon it's going to be 8 health districts. So we're looking at if we can have a cell support group among all of the districts. So what it would mean would have more mobilization, more education, working along with the health districts, the nurses, the doctors, the nutritionists, the health educators, all of these people playing a vital role in ensuring that the education and the practices that are meted would be credible, science-based activities. And so that is one of our mandates. I can tell you, so far we've begun the decentralization of information. So we've done some work in Casa Bruce not very long earlier in the year. We did some work in Grand Bay. So we met with the populists there. As I said, we will be heading to, let me see, well, I try to remember that place. We'll be heading to another community this month, which is Casa Bruce. We'll be heading back to Casa Bruce. And so this is what we're doing. But we also have a youth advocate who is a diabetic, a type 1 diabetic. She actually traveled to Bangkok earlier in the year at the World Diabetes Conference. And so she came back with some new knowledge and education. So even we are looking at really utilizing her more to be able to go to the schools and to the youth groups to be able to share her own story with being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and her own, I don't like to use the word struggle, but her challenges of dealing with the disease and her triumphs as well. Because we don't want to just look at it as a gloomy story.
And
You'll have to share her
just
contact
quickly,
information.
Carlton, as you were talking here very quickly, and because time has already run up against us, I think. You keep mentioning type 1, type 2. Very quickly, for those who don't know, simple terms, what's the difference?
Well, type 1 diabetes is one that you're born with. Okay. You're born with this diabetes and you have to be on insulin for the rest of your life. So you have to inject yourself every day. You do not really take oral tablets. Type 2 is the one that is generally has to do with lifestyle. So you have control of type 2. We have seen people who are diagnosed with type 2 reverse their numbers and actually is no longer on medication. So type 2 diabetes is the most common one. And then we have gestational diabetes. That is the diabetes that you develop during pregnancy. Again, that one, it might be suspended during childbirth. Your numbers might come back normal. But if you do not make consistent changes, then you can become diabetic later down, even post having a baby or being pregnant.
Okay, so Carlton, before we end the program, let me just remind you that I would want you to share the contact number of the youth advocate with me, for future program.
Yes, I will do that. I will share that number with you.
But we have to end.
Yes, I'll send you her number.
Dr. Bertrand, closing remarks as we end. We are already out of time.
Closing remarks are, for people who are, free of diabetes. Just engage in a habit with physical activity and proper eating, as I mentioned, and get out there. Any symptom that you might have, educate yourself, as Carlton mentioned. We have I must commend the healthcare team around the districts, the healthcare districts, and we are blessed to have an endocrinologist, so you are able to have access to that. So don't ignore symptoms, know your status, and if you are diagnosed, change behavior, adjust. Don't stress about it, adjust. And get the necessary information that's required.
Okay. Nigel, yes, we have run out of time, but I really enjoyed this program. We need to have a part 2 on the diabetes story.
Yes, and, yes.
Probably focus
maybe
more.
We'll bring on someone who is diabetic and wants to share as well,
Yes,
so
yes.
We appreciate the connection as always. Appreciate
Yes.
the connection, Dr. Bertrand. Appreciate the connection, Carlton. Dr. Bertrand, make sure you continue listening every Saturday as we connect. I know Carlton already does.
I
Hope
do
you
listen.
become a member of the CTD family.
Well, she said she listens, Nigel. You maybe missed
Oh,
it.
she does.
listens.
Beautiful,
So
beautiful.
we're happy for
Beautiful.
this. Okay, but we have to
Thanks
run.
for having us.
Okay, all the best. You take care. Carlton, all the best as well. We have to run now.
Thank you very much. Have a good day, everybody.
All right,
Nigel,
have a
let's
good
again
one,
next
everyone.
week.
Take care, man.
All right.
My dear, connect again next week.
Yes. So listeners on radio, those on Facebook and YouTube, thank you for joining.
When you laughing,